Welcome back to Derailed. I'm JJ Lahey here with my co-host Jake Schyvinck. Jake, how you doing today?
I'm great. It is draft season. It's going to be officially for everybody in a few days. After the title of the video, of course. After that big game that's on Sunday. So excited about that. Bowl week is done, so combine's next, but there's going to be a lot of discussion in between. So I'm ready. I'm ready to rip it.
Tool for this says Ed Policy. Big if true. Big if true. Drew says hello. Hello, Drew. I don't know what we're going to talk about, honestly, because we were kind of hemming and hawing until last minute. Like, are we going to do a stream tonight? We're going to do it. Decided we have to. Obviously, we miss you guys throughout the week, and I got a message from Tool for this, telling me the good news that big work schedule change that he was telling us about a week ago. Apparently, it's not happening anymore, and he's still good for Tuesdays. So I felt like we had to celebrate. So we're doing this. I'm also celebrating with my locker room hat.
There it is. Yo, speaking of that hat, my sister has a friend who's an Ohio State fan, and they sent her one, and it didn't have Ohio State's logo on it. Just that blank circle.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's so lame.
Yeah, seriously.
So they had some serious issues with the supply. So I guess negotiations broke down between the CFP and Nike or something. Wow. So I order my hat within maybe 2 minutes of it being available on the website. And they emailed me back a day or two later, and they were like, hey, things broke down with our old vendor, Nike. We got a new vendor, which was, I don't know, TeePublic or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Whoever they could get with. They're like, so here's the replacement design. So if we don't hear from you that the replacement design is a problem, then we'll just send you this. And it was like not even close. And I'm like, no, give me my money back.
Right.
So then I go to Nike, and at this point I've wasted a couple days because I didn't realize that my order from the CFP was canceled. So by this time, Nike is all out. So I'm like looking on eBay, and they're like, $500 a piece. I finally find there's one like local store in Columbus, Ohio that had a shipment of like 35 of them, and managed to get one off of them. So that was huge.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Too Old for This says it's been a wild day. So glad we get to derail it tonight. Yes, we do. I do have kind of a hard stop tonight because my wife basically told me I have a curfew tonight. I was sad to hear that. Mostly sad for you guys.
Why? She said, why do you go for 2 hours and then you and Jake talk for another 30 minutes afterwards? She's like, that's got to stop. So.
Well, she calls me out too, because she'll be like, I'll be like, hey, we're only going an hour tonight. She's like, I'm like, no, really?
Sure you are.
Like, we agreed to only go an hour tonight. She's like, okay, but even if you did a hard stop at an hour, you're still going to talk with Jake for another half hour or 45 minutes afterwards. I'm like, all right.
She's got this figured out. So that's.
I mean, we've only been doing this for 2 years now.
Yeah. She knows what's going on.
Goose said this week has been railing me, so I'm definitely glad to get derailed. We are here to derail
you. But you know what? Is what it is.
It happened.
Yeah.
Adam Huddle wants to know who's going to stop Goody from trading that 2025 first round pick. Ed Policy.
Can I say?
So here, I'm going to take this comment off the screen for a second so we can see your display name. So you seem to be pretty heavily in favor of this.
Yeah.
Floor is yours. You want to talk about your vision here for this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, we don't need Goody to make first round picks, dog. We don't need him to. Let him cook where he cooks. Okay. He's got something in the first round that's just it's a little weird. It's a little off. It's like the guy who's 40 talking about his old baseball days trying to hit wiffle balls over a backyard fence. That's what it feels like it is. And it's like, okay, buddy, you're just doing too much. There's good players in front of you. You don't have to take these massive swings. So like for me, Just take the 2 1s, okay? Even if other teams are like, yeah, we'll give you 1 and a 2 and a player. I don't want to trade any players, okay? I don't want to give Cleveland any players. None of our players deserve to go to Cleveland, okay? So just take the 2 1s, okay? Take the 2 1s, send them over, and fix, a massive pass rush
what about
problem.
Matt Orzech? Doesn't Matt Orzech deserve to go to Cleveland? Doesn't he, though?
Maybe. That's maybe the one caveat. If the Browns are like,
I was like running through my
my
hate list,
right?
And I'm like realizing like all the players that I have hated all these years are pretty much all gone.
Yeah.
Except for the sacred cow who cannot be criticized. And then there's Matt Orzech.
Right. Matt Orzech's not the sacred cow.
No. Speaking of other sacred cows, though, go ahead.
But like seriously, just send the 2 1s over.
Okay.
Draft the guy JJ has in his little blurb down there in the 2nd round.
Thank you.
And the pass rush is fixed. I'm telling you, it's fixed. It's done. Don't have to worry about it. We're good. Then do
Adam Huddle.
else.
I love you, but you're high.
What?
His comment that I pinned on screen.
What about it?
That Jair isn't worth a first-round pick.
I don't think he would ever field that.
You don't think Jair is worth a first?
Nobody will trade a first to get him, though.
Because of his age?
Missing games.
Age and injury history?
Base salary of that 2nd year that's left on the deal. I just hope it's a 3rd.
Well, we're not moving him.
No,
I don't understand why people think that he's gone. I really don't understand it.
Listen, he got frustrated in the exit interview. We got frustrated. Okay, it happens. All right, we're emotional. All right, we tend to have emotion in these moments. I've been mocking stuff to add an extra 3rd round for fun because why not? It's draft season.
He's been an emotional guy for years. This is known. Yeah. We knew he was an emotional guy back in 2020. Like it's been known. Why? It's odd to me that all these fans who obsess over all these players seem to like not have any clue what Jair's personality is. Every time something weird comes up with Jair, people freak out over it. And it's like,
yeah,
guys, we have known who Jair is for a while. It's not a big deal. Just buckle your seatbelt and ride with the. I should have said buckle your seatbelt because people are gonna think I'm making a comment about the strap selling.
Everybody does that. I saw a linebacker do it in Mobile last week.
I saw
at 11.
I think I saw a clip of that.
I'm sure you probably did. Yeah, the linebackers running downfield and did it. So, but like I think did he get suspended a game, Jair?
Jair got suspended 1 game last year.
Okay.
He got suspended.
Yeah, that like
was it the Tampa game? It was whatever came after the Carolina game.
I think it was Tampa then, and that it went down. No, but I think we hold on to that. People will not remember Romeo Doubs got one. People will not remember that at all. But they will remember Ja doing it. So yeah,
Aaron Jones got suspended. A lot of guys got suspended.
So I think Green Bay's just maybe a little bit harsher on guys for little things because they want that accountability than others. I think other suspensions around the league have been more blatant within the team. Like it's like, oh yeah, like you're definitely doing that. Like we know what that's for. So it's been fun to mock, and get an extra 3rd rounder in there for Ja, but in reality, if you want to fix this team, you kind of need him for one. Overhauling the corner room isn't going to happen, in the blink of an eye. The pass rush, you can elevate that a little bit more in an off season, I think. So to me, I'm not getting rid of Ja. Yeah, if it takes a 1st and a 2nd for most teams, great. Offer the 2 firsts. I don't care. Who you want? Like let's be honest. I'm going to the 2026 board. Hang on. All right, I'm going to find the best project on the 2026 big board and pair him with Shamar Stewart and ask you guys who you would rather have. The boat or maybe 2 boats. I bet you one of them sinks of the maybe 2 boats. Just letting you know. This is so because I think, and Steelers fans are having fun with the Garrett thing because they think Watt's better, whatever. I don't care. My thing, Garrett's pass rush win rate, the pressure percentage, all of that is dominant. He is a force. He's about to turn 30. If you're even considering giving Mac a multi-year deal at 34, why not just have Garrett till he's 34? You know what I'm saying? Like
Mac who? Max Crosby?
Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack?
As a free agent, yeah. If you're even going to think about signing him at 34.
Who the heck is talking about Khalil Mack in 2025?
Plenty of people. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
He's freaking old as dirt.
Green Bay signed Peppers at 34.
Yeah, well.
And this is the Peppers type, though. This is your Peppers right here.
Well,
Myles
Mack
Garrett.
Isn't. Yeah, Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett's
Khalil
the
Mack,
guy,
no.
guys. This is the guy. Like, Mack is still playing well. The question is when is the fall off going to happen? It's going to happen quicker than it is with Garrett, for sure. You have Garrett for 2 years after this. You negotiate for 4 more, and you got him until he's 34. I mean,
did Mack get hurt this year?
Different. Did Mack get hurt?
So I'm just noticing. I'm just looking at his season.
So.
For the first 9 weeks of the season, he was like on fire. Had a crappy week in week 10 against Tennessee. And then after that, he was kind of a little bit up and down and then finished in a bit of a slump. I'm trying to figure out if that's like an age thing or if he got hurt. I don't want to I don't want to just straight up just call him old.
Well, there you go.
But I
Must
suspect
have been on
age.
the last few injury reports. Probably was on them. Oh yeah, no, he was. He was on
week 10,
week 18 or the week wild card week injury report, maybe even both.
Week 10, he only that week when he had the rough. I'm seeing he only played 4 snaps that game, so that's why his stats were.
Oh,
that's why he got blanked.
There you go.
So after that, holy cow, he played 57 snaps 2 weeks after getting hurt. So week 10, he played 4 snaps. Week 12, he played 28. Week 13, he played 57.
Yeah. I'm all in. I don't come on. I know this again. Green Bay's last 5 first-round picks. Okay. I would trade all of them for Garrett right now. All of them. Every single one. Not even a question. Because you just don't know. You're picking in the 20s, right? You're not getting the blue chippers necessarily. There's no guarantee of that, right? And that puts you in the position a lot of times, like Goody has been, where you're swinging on these like high upside players who could definitely pan out but have a shockingly low floor. I would just rather do it. Goody has done a phenomenal job the last 3 years on days 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Let him continue to do that. Maybe Cleveland, if you're giving them the 2-1s, maybe Cleveland will give you a mid-round pick on the way back. Because if the reports along the league are going, yeah, it could be a 1 and a 2 or a 1 and a 3, then 2 1s plus a third or a fourth coming back, maybe you get that mid-round pick coming back with him and then gives Goody another shot in the mid-rounds where he's done a phenomenal job. I just feel like you don't get...
What would you rather have? Would you rather have an extra first-round pick for Goody or an extra fourth-round pick for
Extra
Goody?
fourth all day. It's not even a question. So
right?
This is what I mean. If you just have to look at the drafts the last 3 years, 2021 was not great across the board, right? Again, those happen. You can list off your top 5 GMs in the league right now. They've all probably had a bad draft in the last 4 or 5 years, maybe multiple even. So, yeah, other than the Stokes and Walker, Wyatt, Van Ness, Morgan, there's still promise there, but this opportunity doesn't come around very often. And I know a lot of people are potentially more interested in the Higginses, the Metcalfs, Cooper Kupp. No, thank you.
Anybody interested in T. Higgins?
So
come here, let me smack you.
So you could be interested in the receivers all you want. I just feel like this is. Listen, the receivers had a down year. There's no doubt about it, right? But I think you can. I think there's a vision about what they can be. Right. There's a projection about what the bounce back could look like for maybe if you want to call it all three of them, and hopefully Dobbs gets back healthy. But you find a way to add speed at receiver. Right. That's really what you're missing. The explosiveness at receiver. I'm worried it's going to be MVS. Okay. I'm worried that's what we're going to get. But a player like this, and I know that there was like, oh, well, if you're that interested in Garrett, go get Crosby. I think it's different tiers, man. I think they're on different tiers. Crosby, awesome. Battler, right, but Garrett
it's not
does
even close.
The same thing every year.
It's not even close.
It is he is on a different tier than most of the guys. Like the top tier is like him and Parsons, and then Watt's usually there, and then you have a guy kind of pop up right every year to kind of join that, and then kind of not then kind of exit the room. The year after, it'll probably again this year Hendrickson, probably that guy potentially, right, who doesn't join that room next year. But like it just you don't get that. You just don't get this opportunity. This is I not joking. This is a Reggie White level opportunity right here for Green Bay. It is. It is. You want to show like and again, Goody has stressed the urgency part. I'm not saying you have to make, this massive move necessarily to do that, right? He can find ways to do it as well, but for a player like this, man, this is like if Chris Jones was available a few years ago, right? Those types where it's just like, if you're a really good franchise, you can't even bring them up in conversation. So
let me ask you a question. Do you think Myles Garrett is actually going to get moved? Forget who he's going to get moved to. Do you think he's going to get moved? So I lean toward thinking that even Andrew Berry is not dumb enough to do that.
You would think so. But like at the same time,
and of all the franchises and all the GMs in the NFL, yes, Andrew Berry and the Browns are the ones that would be stupid enough. I still just don't even think that they're stupid enough to do it.
Not to cross over sports, but we just watched a trade go down that people were like aghast at in the sports world. So like we think teams won't do this.
Did you see the video?
That's a team who was in the finals last year, by the way, who done this, right? This isn't like, oh, hey, we're in last a lot. No. So like teams will do this.
Did you see Nico Harrison? The video of him sitting there explaining the story of how this happened, sitting next to Jason Kidd. Yeah. And he's saying like, Jason didn't even know I was going to do this trade. And Jason's just like, 1,000-yard stare.
Obama anger translator. Man, why would we stink at communication? Didn't you know? That's the translation right there. We stink at communication, but this is my job.
I like when Nico was talking about. He's like, man, me and Jay Kidd, like, we're so in sync. Like, I know exactly what he wants without even talking to him. Like, he doesn't even. I didn't even ask him, and I know exactly what he wants. And Jason's just like, kill me. It looked like a bad SNL skit. It didn't look like real life.
Yeah, it really. I have to imagine SNL's gonna have a field day with that.
Adam Huddle, can we start the Myles Garrett is getting fat rumor?
So like here's my. You asked, do you think he's gonna get moved? I lean yes. I don't think it's definitive 100, right? 55-45, 60-40. 60-40 I think is where I'll lean yes, no. Because simply this, like when you look at their salary cap table and stuff, in Voldemort contract aside, right? Like that contract aside where it's, $70 million and there's a $26 million void year after he's gone. Offensively, Conklin's going to get over $19 million in the next 2 years. Batonio's getting $14 next year. Teller's getting $14 next year. And Njoku gets $11 next year. And that's just offense. Defensively, Ward's getting $24 million, really an average of 27 over the next three, 24, 30, and 27. Greg Newsom's
what kind of
$13 million this year. Tomlinson's over $11 million both years. Delpit signed an extension. So you have all these guys on extensions with sizable money. And just probably the one guy you're going to be able to trade is Garrett. And I know Cleveland shouldn't trade him. They shouldn't. But at this point, you are a team with aging offensive line, no real left tackle. Jedrick Wills is a free agent. He's going to become a free agent for a reason, right? Clearly didn't live up to the early first-round billing, right? You're trying to figure out tackle in other spots, right? I mentioned Conklin. He's already 31, and he's been hurt. DeJuan Jones has been way up and down, and they thought, oh, maybe we got something here at right tackle. They're still going to try that, I'm sure, as it is in a young contract. But, like, you don't have your QB. And, yes, you're picking second, so you could get one if you wanted it. At the same time, right, if you, at this point, get that QB, you started the clock. And you don't have a potential rebuild. It's kind of like, all right, rookie, carry this aging, expensive team. I think they have to get younger. It's going to be
there's two problems
thing.
with your whole.
They can't do this is what they can't do. They can't do the Saints thing. You cannot do the Saints thing. You're not good enough to do the Saints thing. Okay, the Saints at least promise you like 7 wins. Okay, like they at least try to do that. You can't do that because if you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, there's the idea of trying to tear it down is going to be near impossible. There has to be something that starts it because you clearly don't have it right now. And over the next 2 to 3 drafts, you're going to have to. And at least gives you some leeway.
I think there's two problems with your premise. The first is that you are assuming that Andrew Berry is a smart GM who's going to make moves for his football team based on any kind of rational thought and rational plan. He doesn't have a plan. All right, he just does crap. Second, and by the way, if you're not fully convinced that he just does random crap just to do crap, go look at every trade that the Browns have made since he got there. First of all, he trades more than anybody else. He has made like 40 trades in the last like 5 years.
This is why the Greg Newsom thing came up at the trade deadline for Green Bay. Because he makes a lot of trades. Yeah.
Yeah. He just makes moves trade. Just to make moves.
Yeah. It's like, oh, he might trade, so we might as well include it as an option. Yeah, he
might. He's the type of guy to sign Mason Rudolph and then trade him a few weeks later for, I don't know, Deshaun Kaiser. Like just random crap like that all the time. So the other problem that I see with your premise is if they do trade Myles Garrett, and I have kind of a finger on the pulse of the Cleveland fan base right now, being that I'm from Ohio, have a lot of friends who are Browns fans, and just listening to their message boards and that kind of stuff. Like they are this close to being completely checked out, more checked out than I have seen them since they went 0-16. So if you do move Myles Garrett, those seats are going to be empty. You're not going to be selling tickets. You're not going to be selling merch. I don't think Jimmy Haslam is going to trading Myles Garrett. And I don't think that Myles Garrett has any leverage over the Browns. Well, this isn't the NBA.
Well, no. He does not. No.
Oh, Tyler Dershel has a new profile picture.
There you go.
Dersh, that's a sexy pic. Says, what did I miss? Is Cleveland going to move out of the city again? The factory of sadness. Do you actually not know what's going on with Cleveland? Myles Garrett demanded a trade. Now everybody wants Myles Garrett to come to their team, including Packer fans.
As they should.
Tool for this says they shouldn't punish Myles for their stupid Watson contract.
Hey,
I think
they punish.
I think it's been crazy to me watching mainstream national media figures come around and say like, this Deshaun Watson trade is starting to age pretty poorly, and they're just starting to talk about Herschel Walker. And I'm like, dude, it was worse than the Herschel Walker trade before the ink was even on the paper. Like when it was just reported that this was the terms they had agreed to, it was already worse than Herschel Walker.
Yeah, it was already bad that teams were.
And that was back when we thought that Deshaun might still be good at football.
Might still have it, yeah. Even after a year off.
Did we play the clip whenever it happened, beginning of this year, the clip from Pardon My Take, when they were talking about how much Deshaun was struggling, and they're like, you know what? I think he's been playing so bad that he might actually be a better person than he is a football player.
I remember that combo, yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
It's an inspired quote.
Yeah.
Goose says Cleveland is moving to the CFL. I don't know if the CFL would take Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland's been applying for years. I don't know. They've been applying for a long time. Listen, Baker got the heck out of there. Huge for him. So, okay. So, JJ, then I'll ask you this. So, obviously, if you were in his shoes, you're not trading Garrett, right?
If what?
If you're in his shoes, you're not trading Garrett, right?
If I'm Andrew Berry, yeah I'm not trading Garrett.
Okay. What's your plan?
Actually, no. If I were Andrew Berry, I would trade Garrett. I would trade Garrett if I were Andrew Berry. Sorry. The biggest reason I don't think Andrew Berry will do it is because Andrew Berry is a moron.
I see. So you would. So you're saying you would.
I would trade
any way you can. Essentially,
I would trade Myles Garrett because you have to strip this team down because Andrew Berry has dug them into such a horrible pit that you will never be relevant during the duration of Myles Garrett's career. Like by the time you have built a good team again, Myles Garrett will be retiring
or leaving in 2 years when the contract's up. Essentially,
that's
you have to if you're going to get anything right other than a compensatory selection.
Drew made that point.
Yeah, other than a compensatory selection, you're not going to get anything. He clearly wants out. He's not going to re-sign with you, because again, you gave a quarterback who is an awful human, 230, gave up 3 firsts to do it.
The 3 firsts is the biggest problem out of everything. That's the biggest problem, bigger than the absolutely horrendous, fully guaranteed contract they gave Watson.
Yeah,
and worse than the person they gave it to. The three picks is like the only way you get out of giving up 3 first-round picks is by doing what the 49ers did and getting just a bajillion free draft picks from getting your assistants hired away.
Yeah.
And hitting on, with the Mr. Irrelevant pick, hitting on your franchise quarterback.
QB. Yeah.
That's the only way you get out of burning 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
And even then, like the 49ers are still struggling.
Yeah, they've got a lot of work to do this offseason. There's no doubt. So
and right now is when you would really like to have those first-round players coming into their own, ready to be the leaders of your team. Yeah. So is there no way out for the 49ers? No, they can still be relevant. Yeah. But man, they made life harder on themselves by giving up those picks.
Yes. And
Didn't the Browns get literally nothing for Baker? If they still had Baker on the roster, I think they'd be fine almost at quarterback, not with draft capital.
No, yeah, but
didn't they get literally nothing for him?
Let me see.
Drew makes a point here. He says if the Packers offered blah 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 blah, Cleveland could get Abdul Carter. Do we agree that the Titans are not going to take Abdul Carter?
It feels like you. Yeah, I don't think they are.
Like they're probably going to go Shador, right?
I think it's Cam.
You think it's Cam?
I think it's Cam, and I think Shador is going to be a Giant or a Raider. Yeah, that would be my guess right now.
But
I don't think they can pick.
But Tennessee is definitely going. They're definitely going QB in a pretty QB crappy class.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But new GM, right, in their weird flip-flopping nonsense that they're doing down there. Are they going? Is management? Which, by the way, let Vrabel go. Right, Vrabel's I think carried some carcass teams for a while. Got a first round bye 1 year somehow with the Titans. I don't know how they did that, to be honest. And go, see what he did with the roster, right? Like we want you to do that like ASAP. We're not waiting around for you to find your right QB in 3 years. That would be my guess is what ownership is saying. And that's maybe why the new GM, why the GM got fired, is like he's like, no, I'm not taking a QB in a bad class. I will not do that. Right? It's very possible. Maybe it was the other way around. I don't know. But like it seems to me that they would go QB, and like I don't know. I imagine they're taking one. So.
Would you take any players in this draft ahead of Abdul Carter?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I would.
Ooh, I just had a crazy idea. What would happen? What would happen if, with the number 1 overall pick, the name you wrote down was Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State, and then Roger Goodell like goes to read it and he's like, "Wait a minute, you guys can't take him." And you're like, "No, we're like calling dibs for when he is in the draft."
We already, we'll give up this pick, but we're calling the rights for that selection. Yeah. Another thing, by that metric,
just burn a 7th round pick on him at that point.
Well, if everybody's keyed into it though, you might have some folks going, late first, I'll do it.
By the way,
first, right? I'm trying to find this Baker trade also.
So, too old for this says, shout out to the reporter who asked this question. I have the clip here.
Oh, yeah. This reporter.
Travis, what do you love more? Taylor Swift or phantom 15-yard roughing the passer penalties in the playoffs?
That's a good question. Anybody else?
It's a pretty good question.
It's an incredible response also. I feel like, again, this is more extreme, right? But like I feel like the year Alshon Jeffrey's like, what are we doing here? Why are we here this week? Like, I'm just here to play a game. I hate this. I don't want to be here all week doing crap like this. I mean, he's right. He's right. Especially with people just walking in and going, well, I guess I'm just gonna ask questions about the refs. Alshon Jeffrey was always correct. Why are we here? We don't need to be here. We're here to play a game. Not here to do all this. That's what I need. That's what I need somebody to do. I found the trade.
I solidified where my feelings are on this whole refs Chiefs issue. You want to hear it?
Sure.
I've decided I don't care enough about the Chiefs thing to decide whether I think that the refs are throwing it for the Chiefs, but I hate the refs so much that I'm just glad that everybody's mad at the refs, even though I'm not. I don't care about the reason that people are mad at the refs. I just am glad people are mad at the refs.
I just like pitchforks for the refs. I agree. I like that. Yeah. I like that. I agree. I think it's just more of like the pitchfork thing is funny for the refs. Yeah, I agree. I'm not going to worry about it, the Chiefs and refs thing. I know people are going to be complaining about it all Sunday no matter what happens. There's one more football game left. I'm going to try to enjoy it. I will not be on Twitter on Sunday at all. I refuse. I don't care. I don't want to be on there. If I'm on there, it's because I posted a video and I'm sharing the link. That's it. That's all I'm going to be on there for on Sunday.
What are you doing for your Super Bowl party? You're not coming over to my house, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Wish you were, but
That'd be fun. Be a good time.
next year.
Family and such. So
Okay.
Pretty simple stuff.
We have we got 2 little kids, and so we're having some other young families come over who have kids the same age.
Yeah.
Because we all have to put our kids to bed at halftime. So we're doing a first half of the Super Bowl party, and then everybody's going home and put their kids to bed.
Okay.
Being 30 is exciting.
Isn't it though? I'm less than a year away now, so that's fun. We used to do that. We used to go to like a friend's house of similar age, watch a few Super Bowls. I think we watched the 3 we went to their house for was Raiders, Bucks, and then the Patriots, Panthers, Patriots, Eagles.
Okay.
So
I think
one of those Super Bowls were good.
So the first Super Bowl I ever saw was it was
first big game.
Patriots Eagles. Because then that was the year before Steelers Seahawks.
It was, yes.
And I know in the Patriots Eagles game there were I didn't have any opinion about the Patriots at that point in time.
Yeah.
And there were a bunch of people around me who were rooting for the Patriots. And my dad and I were trying to decide, like, who do we want to root for in this game because we don't really have a dog in the fight.
Yeah.
And I think we settled on the Eagles at the end, and of course they lost.
Yeah, the TO on a broken leg thing was good enough for me back then. It was like, oh yeah, this dude's doing this. How's he playing? It's like, all right, cool. Yeah, I'll root for that. It was after that Super Bowl that I was like, yep, all right, that team, no, get out of here. Don't like you at all.
Well, and this is the thing with everybody who's crying about the Chiefs. Like, I have no sympathy for you. Like, you still need to be grateful to God on high that you have been delivered from the tyranny of the New England Patriots. All right.
Yeah, I said
if you're already whining about the Chiefs, then you are not grateful enough for having been delivered.
I said I'd never be mad again, and I have to remember that. Whenever the Bears or the Eagles, kind of these Eagles, tick me off a little bit, and I have to remember like what it was like for nearly 20 years.
It was awful.
And I go, you know what? This is fun, man. The AFC's fun again. I don't care if the Chiefs are winning all the time. The AFC gives us awesome duels with the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens. Houston's still trying to figure out their way, kind of. You have the Chargers potentially up and coming, the Broncos, the Bengals could be back in it next year. Like, the AFC is fun. We're having a good time. I will not be ungrateful. The NFC is wide open because you could probably argue there's not really an elite quarterback in the NFC at all.
Right.
If you're treating elite as top 4,
aren't the best quarterbacks in the NFC right now Baker Mayfield, Jordan Love,
maybe?
Like who else? Like I don't think Jalen Hurts. Like, I like Jalen Hurts, but I don't think he's
Jalen
as
Hurts
good as those two.
No.
Kind of depends on how you feel about Brock Purdy. I've never been a big Brock Purdy guy.
Yes,
he's all right. Who are you rooting for in this Super Bowl, by the way?
Malik Willis, of course.
Malik Willis. There you go. There you go.
Listen, here's the thing, Goose. I remember him sliding and sticking his foot up at Ed Reed's knee. So I don't want to hear any. I don't want to hear any of this. I'm not hearing any of it. No. I will not be hearing any of
Tyler
this
Dursl's got it. It's Jaden Daniels.
Oh yeah, Jaden is the best. That's true.
And listen, for the guy who was
correct,
I was carrying the Jaden Daniels is QB1. I was carrying that all draft season last year.
Yeah.
So I am going to sing his praises from the mountaintops. How good of a season he had.
As you should. Yeah, it
Jameer
is. I'm going to put it out there that Jameer Gibbs is a better running back than the one playing on Sunday. That's my hot take. So there you go. This is good.
Did you? Was I?
That's true. He needs to be a core part of that special teams unit, at the very least.
I can't remember. Did you answer who are you rooting for this year?
In the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
or the big
Bowl.
game. Shoot, the big game. Yeah, a superb owl. I'm
The
rooting for
superb
the.
owl.
I'll be rooting for the Chiefs. No new rings. I'm team no new rings. I like Justice Mosqueda on that. Like once my team's out and the second favorite team I want to win, then it's team no new rings. No, thank you.
I haven't heard that before, but
joining the club. I love that.
Yeah, I usually do kind of root that way. Now it depends because I'm so opinionated, and there are so many players and coaches around all of football, NFL, college, who I deeply despise. That it's rare to find a game where I don't have anybody I'm rooting against. But I think, like, in this game, there's honestly only 3 players total and 0 coaches that I'm rooting against.
Okay.
I really don't like Travis Kelce. I'm just tired of him. That's all it is. I'm just tired of him. I don't enjoy his personality.
I'm tired.
So I don't like Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
But, like, compared to some other former Chiefs who I really despise, like, I couldn't stand Frank Gore. I hated Kadarius Toney. I hated Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tyrann Mathieu. And, like, these guys are all gone. Tyreek Smith or Tyreek
Hill, yeah.
Tyreek Hill. So I didn't like any of those guys. They've all been gone for a minute. So, there's nobody that I really hate with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And then with the Eagles, I really hate Saquon. Have always hated Saquon. And then I also have always hated Oren Burks. It ticks me off to no end that he was here for forever in Green Bay, just turning in just the most garbage football product that I had to endure week in and out. And I would put up the special teams film, and I'd watch his play and watch, the selfish plays that he'd make and, go try and make the play, whatever, not defend his gap. And I'm just like, I'm so sick of this guy. He goes to freaking San Francisco, turning into a great linebacker, then goes to Philadelphia, still killing it. I'm like, hey, bud, thanks so much for giving us your worst years and then going and playing excellent football for 2 NFC rivals. Screw you, buddy. So hate Oren Burks.
Do you think Goody walks around, the offices with a sign that says "Never wrong, just early" regarding Oren Burks? I think I would. I'd be like, "See, I told you."
Well, I also wonder if he would feel the same way about MVS.
Possibly.
Just given the
I don't know. The fact that it's weird that he's succeeding in New Orleans when he was dropping passes last year for the Chiefs and the Bills. It wasn't that good either. So, like, maybe he is. It's very possible. But, like, I don't know why his best is with his best season and kind of, like, maybe most impactful is with the Saints. It's a weird thing. He's played with Rodgers, Mahomes, and Allen, and Derek Carr is the guy who's feeding that man. Like, it's crazy.
Allen? MVS was a Bill?
He was, yeah. Yeah.
For what, 5 minutes, or was he actually there for a while? I don't remember this at all.
It was too many minutes for them.
I don't remember this at all.
Oh yeah. In fact, even on Pro
was
Football
he there
Reference,
at the same time as Jake Kumaro?
I don't know.
By the way, I want to highlight Tyler Dershel because Tyler and I think the same way. His logic here is impeccable. The Chiefs deserve everyone to root against them because they actively rostered Toney at one point.
We need to talk about this, though. They got him a touchdown, and he set up Sky Moore's touchdown at that Super Bowl. Like, they got the absolute best possible out of Toney, which is insane.
Which isn't saying much.
Yeah, but, like, relative to what he did, like, New York minus that one game against Dallas, where it was kind of like, oh, my gosh, hello. Where he
I don't know, man. I don't.
10 for 187. Like,
how much Chiefs football did you watch that Toney's here?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm just dumbfounded that, like, in the biggest
I'm just saying,
game,
like,
in the biggest game, the Chiefs were like, we got you to do the best, and that's what the Chiefs are now. It's kind of like, I don't care what you do during the regular season. Do you want to drop passes? Sure, whatever. Do whatever you want.
I did a little bit of research.
January.
I did a little bit of research for the chat because Tool over this also says he's never heard of MVS being on the Bills.
Oh yeah.
He was signed on May 14th this past year. And then on October 15th, the Bills had just traded for Amari Cooper. And MVS was the guy they released to make room for Cooper.
Yep.
While with the Bills, Valdez Scantling was targeted 9 times. He caught 2 passes for 26 yards. That is an MVS stat line right there.
Yeah, it is.
13 yards apiece.
You know it.
7 incompletions.
Still at his best year in 2020 with Green Bay. But he did have a chance if he played 16 with New Orleans to surpass that. He had a pretty good chance to do it.
But you bring up a good point though. The Saints have gotten fantastic play out of like the weirdest ragtag bunch of wide receivers. Like they bring in some guy off of like, you know, I don't know, pick a crappy team like the Jets practice squad. They'll grab a wide receiver off the Jets practice squad, and you're like, you look at the guy, you're like, is he this guy like a fullback? Like, what are we looking at here? And then he'll go on and have like a 600-yard season. You're like, what the heck is that?
Yeah, it's very strange.
Goose wants to know our take on Cooper Kupp.
We had a joke. Remember, I said like back in before the Saints game when we had this show going, it was like they're playing Dante Pettis on purpose. And like he actually caught passes,
right,
which is something he didn't do in San Francisco at all, or really with the Giants. It was kind of like, okay, maybe I should have said that. At the same time, like, yeah, they lose Olave, they lose Shaheed, and they're like, we'll find some guys. And it's like they're actually competing with said guys. Heck, they were 2-point conversion from beating an NFC Championship participant. Somehow. It's very strange, New Orleans. Very strange. It there is, yeah. It's something. Who said it? Where is it? Someone said it. I thought someone said it. The voodoo? No, maybe not.
Yeah, I got that pinned right now. The voodoo.
Oh, you do. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go.
We're 2 in sync. I pinned it, and so you couldn't find it because it was pinned.
I know. I was looking for it because I didn't think it was pinned already.
Right. You're looking at all just the normal ones.
Yeah, I was looking at all the ones that are gray on the side. I couldn't find the blue one. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's I don't get it. It's crazy stuff. Truly.
Somebody tweeted that the Saints, I forget who it was. It was somebody important tweeted that the Saints should, or rather the New Orleans should host the Super Bowl at least once every 5 years. Do you agree?
That New Orleans should?
New Orleans, yeah. Like just I would love to go to a Super Bowl in New Orleans.
Every 5? Yeah, I like it.
Have they hosted the Super Bowl since 1995?
Yes.
What year?
Yes. It was Ravens-Niners when the power went out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, they had to have. I know they did. Oh, yeah. Why'd the clock stop? Yeah. That's
True says New Orleans loses power every Super Bowl.
That's the problem. Well, they didn't. First off, no, they didn't lose power. Jim Harbaugh found a guy. Okay, and the fact that the Michigan stuff was going on, this is even more credible now. Jim Harbaugh found a guy and said, "Go pull that plug, brother. We're down a lot. We need a reset."
Yeah,
that's what it is.
By the way,
Forever,
should we?
My ultimate conspiracy theory that will in the NFL that I will always believe.
That is it.
Yeah, that's the one. The Niners pulled the plug, or maybe the NFL pulled it to get a close game potentially, because that was when the power went out. They were on the ropes of like, yeah, they're giving it back. It's going to be potentially 35-6, and they would have had a prequel to the to what Seahawks Broncos was. Was it
the heck are you talking about, Drew? Black Eyed Peas. That was at Dallas.
Yeah, that was Green Bay.
New Orleans. Yeah. Your statement that was Green Bay right after I said that was Dallas was confusing, but accurate. Accurate, but confusing.
It was Dallas and Green Bay, just not the Cowboys, because they don't know how to get there anymore.
Goose says the Super Bowl should be at Lambeau every year. I would tell you, I would be there, sitting in the snow.
I just don't think.
Nobody else would be, but I would.
Yeah.
Well, the Wisconsinites would. We'd be there with our coats off,
sure.
shirts off.
For sure. But it is. Yeah, I think they're scared of it based on, like, again, New York, they got lucky. I don't think they're going back there again. I'll be honest. Or New Jersey, I guess, technically. I don't think they're going to go back there. I don't mind if they go back to, like, if it's indoor in the north. I really don't care. If they want to do that. Gosh, it hasn't been at Ford Field since, was that Seahawks Steelers? Was that Ford Field or was that?
That was.
Is that right?
I'm actually struggling to remember one at Ford Field. I'm thinking of the one that they had in Minnesota. That was Eagles.
That was Eagles Patriots, the second.
Right. That was the Nick Foles one.
Yeah. Indy was Giants Patriots 2.
I think
Manningham.
Ford Field was
Pittsburgh.
That was Pittsburgh Seattle. That was the second Super Bowl I ever saw.
Yeah. Okay.
Was it Ford Field at that point, or was it still the Silverdome?
Oh, was it the? Oh, I don't know.
I think that was the Pontiac Silverdome.
Was it really?
I just Googled it. It was Ford Field.
Okay, maybe the Silverdome was like turn of the century, maybe.
So Ford Field was built in construction broke ground 1999, and it opened in 2002.
Okay. So
how old were you in August of 2002? August 24th.
2002? 6.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I was 7.
Yeah, Drew. I thought you were talking. I think what JJ thought is you thought that the Black Eyed Peas was the Super Bowl. But yes, I think we're on the same page now. Yeah, Black Eyed Peas we're Green Bay, Pittsburgh for sure. Okay, that's
funny.
What? This is great. Frankie Louvu doing the flyover. That's incredible.
Explain the joke to me.
Because he was diving over the pile last championship week near the goal line. He did that a couple times. That's phenomenal. That is so good.
We have
because it's fantastic anyway. So
we have some fantastic comments from earlier on here.
We should get to the cup thing.
So let's hit cup first, and then let's not forget that there's a couple other questions right after cup that we need to hit. So Goose wants to know about cup to Green Bay, and I'm going to read off. Let's see here. Too old for this is out on cup. Drew is out on cup. I thought one other person was, but maybe I missed it. So do you want Cooper Kupp in Green Bay?
No.
At what price would you want Cooper Kupp in Green Bay? Vet minimum? Yes or no?
Yeah. Vet minimum, sure.
Okay. 10 mil?
No.
5 mil?
Yeah. I do 5.
All right.
I do maybe 7. I think
7
you can talk
mil?
me into 7. Here's my thing with Kupp, okay? I think it's great. He blocks. He's going to be a big part of that. Like if you're in 11 and you want to run, 100% love that. He's going to find space in zone. He's going to find ways to get open. He's going to make tough catches. He does. The problem is availability, right? The injuries are still biting him now that he's 30, 31. We don't need that. We don't. We want him to be available. If you want Kupp that bad, first off, you can go sign Chris Godwin, who can do those same things. And also, if you want to even be cheaper than that, you can go draft Emeka Egbuka, who can definitely do those things.
Hold on. I cannot co-host a podcast with you and let you pronounce his name that way. It's Emeka Egbuka.
Emeka Egbuka. Okay.
No, the G is silent. It's Emeka Egbuka.
Okay.
As the resident Ohio State guy.
The Ohio State kid that wears number 2. Double E.
Yeah.
Ohio State
Chris
kid
Olave.
Number 2, double E.
Caleb Downs.
I said double E. Double E.
You said the guy that wears number 2, so Caleb Downs?
I said the guy who wears 2, Ohio State, double E.
Yeah, Caleb Downs.
Nope. I said double E before you interjected. So I won the race.
It's just the M&M logo.
I got there first. But yes, him. Like he could do that too. So I don't think you need Kupp at that price at all. when you have two other options that are cheaper, sign or draft. Like that's what teams should be thinking about. Truly.
So
Green Bay won't, because I don't think they need a slot player, right? I think we both agree that
I think what they need, maybe a new wide receiver coach. I don't know, but they need somebody.
Better stick them.
If the wide receivers coach does not carry enough gravitas, then we need a player coach, maybe like Cooper Kupp, getting in these cocky young guys' faces and calling them out for their crappy, selfish play and helping correct their mistakes so that these uber talented wide receivers that we spent 5 early draft picks on because of the Christian Watson's double pick.
Oh, yeah.
That we actually get some production out of these guys because they're talented. They're talented dudes. That's not the issue. Yeah. All the issue. And thankfully Christian Watson has kind of figured it out and Romeo Doubs seems to have figured it out, but Jaden and Tay, that's where their problem is between the ears. But Drew said we'd have to trade for Kupp and we'd get his contract with him. So he's literally worth nothing in a trade. Pushback on that. The Rams apparently are willing to eat some of the contract on that. So all they got to do is just give him a signing bonus. Then that's less money that the team trading for him would need to eat. So that is normally you'd be correct. In this specific instance, apparently the Rams are willing to eat some contract to move him. So that maybe massages that, makes it a little easier.
If I had to guess, Kupp goes to Pittsburgh, Dallas, or Denver. Those are the 3 spots. Those would be my guesses at this
Jets?
point.
He's not going to Dallas. I don't think Dallas is there yet.
Jets, unless they're moving Garrett, which is a whole other conversation.
What makes you think Pittsburgh?
I think for me, Pittsburgh going wide receiver in the first, which they kind of need. Because if they're gonna run the Wilson thing back again, right? Like you have to have. I don't know if they're gonna want the veteran route. They're gonna want more defense, more O-line, continue to pepper that because that's kind of how they've started to operate. More so, their last, three of their top picks the last 2 drafts have been left tackle, right tackle, center. And I think they will continue to commit to that. They could commit to defensive tackle this year, and I don't think it would bat an eye. Their defense got pushed around by Baltimore, right? They're well, if we can solve the receiver thing veteran-wise, which is what they seem to want to do, they went oh, yeah, let's go get Mike Williams. Let's do blah, blah, blah. I feel like they would be the team that oh, yeah, Kupp's a vet. He'll kind of go about the business the way we want him to do it. He definitely would be that guy, potentially be a leader in there. He's won a bowl, he's won a superb owl recently, so that's kind of where I'm at there. And if it's Denver, I think it's simple. Anybody with a warm body and hands who can catch the ball besides Courtland Sutton, we need to get him on our team. So at Dallas, because I think Dallas just does Dallas things. They're silly. They're silly little gooses over there.
They've been weird for last year and a half. They've been a little bit weird.
So, I mean, they're super strange. So I wouldn't put it past them. Should they do it? Probably not. No.
I do think Adam Huddle has the comment here. They need to stop depending on Watson's size and speed. I mean, it does annoy me that LaFleur has insisted that we need to have this guy on the roster or we can't run the offense. This has been true since before we drafted Watson. If MVS is out, we literally can't run our offense. There's a lot of teams around the league that don't have a burner that they depend on. I'm not saying that it's a bad plan to run that offense when you have him, but can't you have, plan B in your pocket and like run a different type of offense when you don't have that guy? No. Like, I understand you need to stretch the field. I understand you need to, make the defense have to get vertical. I get that. And I get that when they don't have him out there, that they have to stretch the defense sideline to sideline. I get that. I'm just saying not every NFL offense is like so dependent on just one guy being healthy.
Yeah, I think the problem was Watson was also the guy who was most reliable catching the football. That did not help. That probably further exaggerated that problem, right, than maybe it needed to be.
My comments are more directed at, like, when MVS would go out. I feel like they have been able to better weather Watson absences than they did with the MVS absence. But like the fact that we're still getting these comments from LaFleur, and you still see, the wide receivers struggle to get open then once he's not out there, like other than Wicks.
Yeah, my thing is I you would think Reed could be a part of that, and it just hasn't materialized as much. Like, it looked like he was going to be a part of the big play brigade at the beginning of the season, and then it kind of just evacuated itself. And again, he didn't help things. He dropped passes, right? And that certainly didn't help things. But yeah, it's hard because I do think their offense is humming when explosive plays are a huge part of the mix. That's tough to live and die by. That means your QB has to be better, in the short and intermediate, consistent throws. Receivers have to catch the ball when they're getting open on the short and intermediate throws consistently. Like, without that element of speed, I think the execution has to be better. You have to play, a little bit cleaner. And that was
what we can't commit 11 penalties per game. Why?
Well, there is that. This was more Watson related, but yes, I know what you mean. And especially early in games, right? And we've beat that horse long dead as well.
Yep.
So
yep,
that's the thing. I think, and I do think, by the way, and this is what I mean when I say that, like, Jahmyr Gibbs to me, I think is more valuable than Barkley is. One, Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, in successful, like, Barkley's a lot of like unsuccessful runs and then absolute monstrous home run swings and it's a big, and again, it's a big part of the offense. But Gibbs is also creating those explosive plays and is also, I think, being more successful. When you have explosiveness in many different areas of your offense with consistency, that also helps. Again, Josh Jacobs is awesome, catches the football, does all the dirty work. He is crucial to their early down success. There's no question. When you have the home run hitter in your offense to spell him, when your offensive line is kicking butt, like, having that element also elevates. Like, explosiveness matters in this league, folks. It's not going anywhere. The receivers who have explosiveness and can control it are crushing it right now. I know you don't talk about Ladd that way, but he is that way. When you start talking about him that way, both the LSU receivers were like that this year, right? Jamar Chase has been that. A.J. Brown has been that, right?
Yep.
Jameson's starting to kind of catch a little bit of that, right, with the Lions. Not as much so. Tyreek Hill was clearly big on that. Jalen Waddles when he's healthy, and he struggled with that. But, like, explosiveness matters. And if you can control your explosiveness as a player on all three levels at receiver, you are a problem, and you're going to get drafted high, and you are going to get paid a second contract. Finding those guys is a big deal. It's not necessarily easy, but again, that's why this, like, receiver by committee thing can fall apart, because if you have one guy who does X and the others can't do it, the puzzle starts to fall apart when he's not there, because everything has to be that much more crisp and cleanly executed. And I think they could get there. But when you don't have an explosive element on the field, teams are going to be like, yeah, well, you're really going to go down the field 15, 16 plays? I don't think so.
Right.
We'll bet on that instead. And that's, and again, I know that the too high and the Fangio stuff has capped a lot of that explosiveness. But when you have explosiveness in the short area, that also allows you more so than maybe people think of like, yeah, if you check it down and you have an explosive yak threat, he's turning those 5-yard completions to 15. Now it puts defenses in more of a bind because you have to contain all these guys after the catch who are problems and guys who run the ball who are problems. Suddenly, now they're shifting into single high, and now you have an explosive element on the receiving end of things they're in a bind. So when you have explosive players at running back, at receiver deep threat, as yak players, that makes this offense go. And that's, I think, why I've more been pushing the wide receiver agenda and was trying to push it a bunch last year because it looked like there were, to me at least, 7 guys who could potentially be difference makers. That's why. Why are the Eagles here? Why are the Eagles here? Brown, Barkley, explosive players. They have Smith, and I think Wicks can be Smith. I think he has that potential. But when Brown and Barkley are on that team, with that offensive line, they are a problem because you have to know where both are at all times. That's why I think they're going to win on Sunday. Rant's over. But, that's what I mean. You can have the Tucker Crafts, and Goose is making a good point. Tucker Crafts' yards after catch is awesome. That needs to be utilized more next year. There's no doubt. When you have an explosive player or 2 on your team, JJ, I'll be bumping the chest out at this. I hope Green Bay drafts Henderson. I hope they find a way to do
Oh my gosh, he's so much fun. Watch.
JJ, we were talking about
Don't get
this,
me started. Don't get me started.
We were talking about this, right? You're like, I don't care that they drafted Lloyd last year, right?
Yeah.
You said that. You're like, and that should be the case. Jordan Reed tweeted it either today or yesterday. He goes, I got 33 draftable grades at running back. Even if you don't need one pressing, go take one.
Well, and well.
So,
you know well that I am the ultimate completely dismiss the positional value in relation to what you have on your roster. You can't draft a tackle because it's not your biggest need. Shut up. I don't freaking care. Is he the best player?
yeah.
I'm the king of best player available.
What do you need? That's a free agency shopping cart, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Do the free agency shopping cart thing. All right. The draft is literally he's good. Go get him. And I know that's a very simplistic look at it, and there's no guarantees in the draft. But the idea of passing on good for we need this makes
me so
debunked.
mad. Yeah,
it's long been debunked. We don't need to go down this road.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
The Eagles could take tackle in the first round next year, and no one should bat an eye at that. He's the best player. I don't care that we don't need him right now. We might need him.
If you look at the Eagles draft class over the last few years, basically since how we got there,
yeah,
there is a clearly defined rhythm to what positions they're taking, and it's that they are investing pretty much a proportional amount of draft picks, of draft capital, into each position as that position is worth. No respect given to holes on their roster or anything like that. It's how much is this position worth, and that's the proportion of the draft picks that we give. By the way, we had SDN wants to talk about San Jose State's Nick Nash. So this is a 6'3" slot receiver. SDN mentions that Nick Nash had huge production. I'm going to push back on that a little bit. I will say he had huge volume. I don't think he was very productive on a snap-to-snap basis this year. His yards per route run was a 2.71, which is fine. Not amazing. It's fine. And then I like to track Paul Brettle's stat of wide receiver OPS. He comes in at just a 0.80, which is going to end up ranking pretty darn low in this class compared to his peers. But graded out well. I would say he's a little on the skinny side and a little slow. I kind of would, for a slot receiver, I'd like to see him be a little bit faster.
Yeah, that's my thing. And I know, like, I'm not saying pass on the good players at receiver. I'm not saying that at all. But like, would I like to have Matthew Golden on my team? Yes, of course. I would love to have Matthew Golden on my team. I think he can. I think there's still an element that he can win down the field because of how good he is at other things, that teams must respect those other things while also respecting, and I'm going to talk about this, spoiler alert, with a certain top player. It's nice when you have urgency and a look to I'm looking explosive when I start all the stuff as a route runner, when I start the stem, everything like that. It's nice to have that. And like Golden's probably the exception. Like when I look at the Igbukas, and I know people are talking about Bryant, I know people are talking about Royals, and like I think there's a chance that Bryant and Royals can both be like very good contributors on football teams. This team needs explosiveness right now. They're going to be without Watson. We have to find that. So I'm not opposed to the idea of drafting a Nick Nash per se. I'm not opposed to the idea of drafting some of these guys. But like for me right now, I'm hunting the explosive dudes. Like it's open season.
Do you think that
some of that? So like I think Nash could be an interesting player because I think there's so much of like the reliability aspect with him that is really, really nice.
Yeah.
And so like he can be a part of that. I want to see. I don't have a lot of San Jose State. I want to see if he can be it. A downfield threat without the speed. There's a way to do it. So, anyway.
Do you think that that Goody's there in terms of prioritizing the explosives? Do you think that's where he is this offseason yet?
But I think he's at least has thought about it because one, they got Jacobs right and they were like, let's get Lloyd. When you watch Lloyd, you go, oh yeah, that gear is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I think he's aware of it. And I think the Watson injury, I think, starts to bring that more to the forefront for him. I know they have to fix the pass rush. That's very, very clear to me. But I think explosiveness is going to be a big part. And I know, Jack Besh, like a lot of people are, I'm very surprised that Brugler comped him to Puka.
Interesting.
I'm very surprised that that's been thrown out there. Trying to find the next Puka is probably just not the way to be looking at it.
Well, it's like we were trying to find the next Tyreek for quite a while, and and just like give up.
If you are going to, it's going to be early, people. There ain't going to be no 5th round Tyreek Hill. There just isn't. Like the closest, and correct me if I think the closest right now is like a Waddle, and he was drafted super early. Like like they're gonna find the guys who are explosive and also like stop, start, acceleration, all that stuff on a dime. Like those guys are gonna find their way to the forefront. Like that's going to happen. The Trey Harris comment is interesting on Tyler Derschel's part because it's a small sample, but he had like 9 yards per route run against man coverage this year. I know it's not as big a sample size as others, but that's nutty. But yes, I've got some of the starred ones, JJ, if we want to hit those quick here on the way out.
I just realized
Drew put this one up.
I put Trey Harris. There you go. Trey Harris, by the way. So his OPS was a 1.04, which is that's going to be second in this class behind Florida's Elijah Badger.
Darn it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Darn it. I was gonna guess who it was. I don't think I would have got to Badger very early.
Okay.
So that was probably better that you did.
So there's only one other guy who has more than a 1. Any guesses? You should know who this is.
Other guy who has more than a 1.
Yeah, there's 3 guys who have higher than a 1. It's Trey Harris, Elijah Badger, and do you want me to give you the conference?
Sure.
Big Ten.
Oh. That was not the conference I thought you were going to say.
Not a real speedy guy. I would say
is it your guy?
I would say slow.
Is it your guy?
This is not my guy. No.
Is it my guy? Back here?
It's your guy. Yeah.
It's my guy back here?
It's
There's
your
no way. You
I
saw
don't
them
know
slow
which-
though, so like that would track.
Give me a name. Give me a name. Got to guess who you think this is.
I mean, is it actually Bryant?
It is Pat Bryant, Illinois.
Oh my gosh. That's
This
crazy.
son of a gun had a 141.4 passer rating when targeted. Only had one drop the whole year. Almost 70% on contested catches. 2.83 yards per route run. Average depth of target 14.2 yards down the field.
Yeah, his market share, touchdown stuff, like all these like advanced metrics that I follow some guy who does a lot of the data work. He's like insanely high on all of it, which is is crazy to me. But got it. It's good to have all of it.
So I do. There's one comment that we have in here that I don't want to touch on today because we got a wrap here, and I think that this is deserving of like maybe a full episode. Maybe next
Tyler
week.
Derschel's thing. Both
Yeah,
of
what would
these.
an ideal draft look like to fix the offense?
And
I kind of feel
off-season.
like
I know he put off season as well.
yeah.
So-
So maybe we just like next week or something we do, fixing the entire offense.
Yeah,
I'll save his exact question and we can
I like that.
give him credit for it.
I like that. I know Drew put in a thing about JT Tuimoloau.
Yeah, we could talk about him.
Really quick. I think the last 2 years before this year would have been like, if you watch the Penn State game, you see it. If you don't watch the Penn State game, you probably don't see it.
Sure. Yeah.
This was a little bit different, I think, this year, even in terms of, I think, consistency. But I'll let you have the floor kind of on this one.
Yeah, so all right, so Drew's question is why is JT not a top 10 talent? So the pass rush is not quite there. I think JT is primarily a run defender, and he's a darn good run defender. I'm a little bit surprised that the draft community isn't higher on JT than they are, and I really wonder if some of that is still just a residual, like, he never did live up to like his recruiting ranking, and I wouldn't really expect the draft community to hold that against him, but it seems like they kind of are. He was like, I mean, he was supposed to be, what's the guy's name? The Titan guy, Clowney. He was supposed to be Clowney. And like that just never materialized. He was not a Bosa. He was not a Chase Young. He as a run defender, so his missed tackle rate is was just 13% this past year.
Yeah.
So there were only two guys in this class who had a better missed tackle rate.
Wait,
and those, let's say what?
13%?
13.2. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I see that from 23. So in 24, I see 10.7.
10.7.
Let
Let me just see if I'm pulling them wrong.
But I'll let you check on that.
So missed tackles. This is 2024 for me.
Oh, okay.
What site are you getting that from?
PFF,
SIS?
where I see it.
You're getting it from PFF. That's where I'm getting it from too. So
Interesting. Okay.
I will this week I'll double check that I have my database hooked up correctly.
Okay.
There's two guys, by my numbers, which Jake is now questioning, who have a better missed tackle rate than JT. Jake, do you have any guesses?
Better missed tackle rate?
Better missed tackle rate
At like edge or just in general?
at edge. Yeah.
I I know who it isn't. I know guys who aren't because I've watched them, but I'm pretty sure they aren't that. Who else isn't?
We got
Are there
a
any in his
SEC guy,
conference?
an
Okay.
SEC guy, and an ACC guy.
ACC. Rucker?
Nope.
It's not Rucker.
As
Is
Raku.
it? It's Ezra. Oh yeah, that's No, that's
Yep. Donovan Ezraku,
Yep,
Boston
that-
College, son of the North.
SEC?
I mean, it's barely SEC.
Oh,
It's Ole Miss. I mean, come on.
Okay, so it's is it Umam Yellen or is it Ivy?
It's Ivy.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but
And if
so-
anybody doesn't know what I just said, the first name, I understand. It doesn't quite look like that, but that I have
Princely
confirmed that.
Umami Ellen.
Yeah, Uman Yellen. Not what I would have thought.
So here's so JT.
I mean, it's-
And I would say I'll be interested to see what JT does at the combine, assuming
Yes.
that he does the drills.
Mhm.
I don't think that he is anywhere near as bendy as I was expecting him to get, because this is a guy who
Sure.
does everything the right way. His work ethic is impeccable. I mean, he was, as a high schooler, the time that he was putting in the gym and his training, just out of this world. Everything you could hope for between the ears.
Yeah.
And I don't know that the athleticism has always shown up on film. I like as highly rated of a recruit as he was, I genuinely think that it was like mostly his football intelligence and his acumen that really
Yeah.
has ended up being why recruitment was such a big deal.
Yeah.
And just from a physical standpoint, I think he is not maybe as athletically gifted as some of his peers. So,
Yeah.
but it makes sense why he's such a good run defender.
Yes.
And I think that that's something that's going to translate in the NFL.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I think you briefly hit on it, and I'm going to try to go as fast as possible. I think the preconceived notion of what he's been the last 2 seasons has leaked into this season. I really do think that has happened, because there is that thing going around of like, yeah, he was dominant in the Penn State game. You see all the plays he made, and then it's kind of like, he disappeared other than the Penn State game, which not exactly true, but I think you know what I mean. Like, he had a couple really good games, at least according to PFF, against other teams that Ohio State was much better than. But I do think, obviously, he had a lot of sacks this year. Sack production was up. Now, I would love to see what, I want to go through each sack and see, were they high quality? And I think, Brandon Thorne does a really nice job of that. I'm not going to be perfect in telling you what's that. But I also do think is the athleticism, right? You look at the Ezrakus, you look at the Greens, you look at the Stewarts, right? You look at obviously Carter. Look at all these insane athletes playing the position, and you go, Tuimoloau just doesn't stack up necessarily with some of these guys. And so he might not stand out amongst the athleticism and the testing. But I do think, like, for one, he's probably going to be somebody that Green Bay's at least going to be, talking about if the athleticism is enough, right? Because he's bigger. He's a bigger guy. That's what they're going to want at defensive end, period. But yeah, I do think there is a preconceived with how those past 2 years went before this one, and the potential lack of elite athleticism for the position. So those are the two things. The first one's easily correctable, right? People just got to go watch him again and say, okay, there's been consistent improvement there. And then 2 is, we're going to find out in a little less than a month.
I think also, Ohio State fans were really frustrated with JT for the majority of his college career. And again, it was, the residual, like, they had such high expectations, based on the recruiting. And then, he wasn't a Bosa. He was not Chase Young. He's not going to be a top 3 draft pick. And, it's similar to like when you hear Packer fans, crying and whining about, Rashawn Gary not being perfect. The Buckeye fans have talked about JT in almost an identical way to how Rashawn Gary gets talked about by Packer fans. And so I do really wonder, like, just because the Ohio State fan base is so big and they're so loud and they get so much media coverage.
Yeah.
I wonder if that has also painted like draft analysts' assessment of JT. Like, well, even the Ohio State fans don't like him. Like, okay.
Right. There is, yeah.
Ohio State fans don't like anything until they win the Natty. So,
right. So, yeah, there is that. Also, last point on this. You mentioned, again, the instincts and the playmaking, right? Like the forced fumbles, the interceptions, all that stuff. You know who does that? And again, I know he's an elite athlete and he does all this stuff. So it's maybe not a 1-to-1, but like TJ Watt, like makes those splash plays other than sacking the QB. And JT has done that, which is great. And then this year he got to the quarterback. I don't know how many times it says for you in terms of sacks. PFF has it at 15. They might count half sacks.
I have 14 here. This is really weird.
That's what it is. It's the half sacks they might count as full. PFF does, I bet. I think there's a weird thing with that. So, but he got to double-digit sacks pretty convincingly. So I do think there is an element of overlooked right now because why? Sawyer made the splash plays in the title game, in the stretch run, right? And he definitely turned it up. He turned up his play. There's no doubt about it. But he made some of the splash plays, and he's going to get the attention. And just remember about all the splash plays you're going to remember about from Mobile that might not tell the full picture as well. Not saying that's necessarily against Sawyer, but I'm just saying, like, maybe JT's doing more of the dirty work and being more fundamental in his spot than you might think, right? The perfect example from Senior Bowl week, Mike Green absolutely bulldozing Josh Connerly Jr., and yet all the defensive linemen said, that's the best lineman there were all week on our team. Connerly was the best one all week. And you would be like, how could they possibly say that after you saw the one rep? Because there were 300 others all week long in 1v1s, 11s, different
also, Mike Green is no freaking slouch either.
Right, exactly. He's not. He's probably going top 15, 12 now. Because
I was going to say top 20 for sure.
I think the conversation might start if everything falls the way it might fall. It might start with Carolina at 8. Like that might be where we're starting some conversations from what I'm gathering. So,
do you remember
how that's the deal? Like there is an element of that JT might just not be, and that's why he was getting the big. Right, he gets the big press for the Penn State game, and he does a phenomenal job during that. And then teams kind of go dive in because when's he going to declare? And he goes, yeah, there's some inconsistencies here, right? So maybe they just got to go through that full picture of this past season with JT, which I'm going to do, right? And I'm going to see something like, oh, yeah, I really like all the little things that he's doing here that people might not love on the stat sheet, but they're going to love having him on their team and on their defensive line. Like that could very well be the case. So
I think we have time to hit one more question here. We're overtime, but
yeah,
I love our chat so much.
Chat's popping tonight. Also, Chris jumped in. Just want to make sure to say hello there to Chris, who's popping in, I presume, after PTA finished up over there.
Oh yeah.
So it's good to see you.
I'm trying to decide what's the last one we should tackle.
Drew quickly asked, like, what was the Illinois receiver that Green Bay brought in back then? Geronimo Allison, baby. And I remember freshman year going to a practice and being on the field with the team, and I'm like, wow, Allison's a different player out here than everybody else. Like, he is a different player than anybody else Illinois got right now. And it was cool to see him become a Packer. I was at the game where he had that big overtime catch from Aaron Rodgers that led to the game-winning field goal against Cincinnati in 2017. And I was at the game where he was a big part of starting that comeback against Chicago. Love that dude.
Yeah, that was I remember because Geronimo I think he missed some time to start the 2019 season. Is that right? Did he get hurt in training camp or something?
2019, he did miss time.
Yeah. So he missed the first 6 games or something, something like this. And I remember, we were concerned about the wide receiver room at this point.
Yeah,
and we really needed somebody to step up, and the person who stepped up ended up being Alan Lazard, practice squad darling.
Yeah.
But I remember like I was like salivating at the mouth for Geronimo to come back because I'm like, dude, you remember that play? You know, when he came back in that Bears game, like this might be the missing piece here.
Yeah.
Never really ended up materializing.
Yeah. Was that the one, or were you thinking of one more?
I guess we can hit this Drew question real quick here. I'll let you take this one because I talked for a long time about JT.
Quick look at the superb owl before we call it. Yeah. Drew D says, does it bother you guys that the media is focusing on the Chiefs winning 3 straight when the Packers won 3 straight twice?
What's the line? I'm Googling it.
The line is from like what people are saying when the
a lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of sheep.
That's a good one.
I couldn't remember. It was something concern himself with the opinions of something. I was like,
sheep,
what am I supposed to compare ourselves to? A lion?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
think that's
I
my
get
answer.
I get the people that are like kind of erasing it because it wasn't the Super Bowl era. Whatever. If they're gonna do that, that's their problem. Okay, don't worry about them. And I know there were less teams.
Well, you know, it's a little bit like in college football right now. You know, you see some teams and media talking about like, you know, playoff era only for championships, and like, you know, just talking about that, and you know, it's like, okay, like you don't care at all about BCS. You don't care. Like I get that, you know, you go back enough years and you get some
to be perfect, man.
Yeah. You go back
perfect, bro.
You go back a few years and you get some, you know, wonky,
there's some weird ones for sure.
But like by the time the BCS started, like you should definitely count everything from that point on.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
12 that says people say it was back when they played plumbers, as if they weren't basically allowed to kill each other on the fields.
They kind of were, yeah. Essentially. So that's a good place, I think, to end it right there.
Well, appreciate you all for hanging out with us. Jake, thank you for doing this with me.
Yeah.
So listen, you know, try and enjoy yourself at the Superb Owl this year.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna have a really good old time.
Last game till August, people. And
I mean, honestly,
September if you're just NFL. So like, you know, it's a long wait. Might as well enjoy these last 4 quarters while you can. So,
have you noticed what a good mood I've been in, and how different of a person I've been since the Lions got eliminated?
Yeah,
like I'm.
Yes, you're very jovial.
There's 3 types of Super Bowls. Okay, there's a Super Bowl where I am excited and on pins and needles and screaming "Go Pack Go" after every single down, no matter what happens. All right. You know, those come like every 10, 15 years.
Yep.
There's the Super Bowls where I am on absolute edge and like trying to keep it together. And I am just rooting so hard against a team that I loathe.
Probably
off the 49ers. Huh?
And New England.
In New England, yeah. Although I did in the 2018 season culminates in the Patriots-Rams Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I hated Jared Goff at that point. He's still a Ram at this point. I hated Jared Goff so much. I just felt that he didn't deserve a Super Bowl. And I said, I will pad Brady's resume. It's fine, whatever. I do not want Jared Goff getting a ring. I was so
narrator. It was not fine.
It was not fine.
Narrator, it was not fine. It was not fine. That was talk about 13-3, man.
That was a horrible Super Bowl. Yeah,
rubbing. Like that
it was such a boring Super Bowl.
Anything like you could have thrown like the Patriots. Brady could have thrown 5 picks and they were winning that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like Belichick's 6-man line just thwarted everything McVay was trying to do offensively.
Oh yeah.
Just
well, and
nothing worked at all. And then they obviously dropped a touchdown. Like that was their one like big chance, and they Didn't get anything
Well,
out of that, but like,
that
it
was such an interesting
smothering,
Super Bowl
bro.
because, the Rams offense had kind of been unstoppable all year with one exception. When they played
Chicago.
the Chicago Bears, Vic
Yeah.
Fangio just he just put
Erased
Jared
them.
Goff in a blender.
Yeah.
I mean, that man was seeing ghosts.
Yeah.
It was
kinda like,
terrifying.
oh. It was like, oh,
Yeah. And
there's a way
so
to stop this.
Bill
And you
Belichick,
just knew,
smartest
you
man.
just knew. You're like, Bill's going to watch that game, and he's going to do it even better than Fangio did it. You just know he is.
And he did, yeah.
That's kind of why I wanted Rams-Chiefs, because we might have got a repeat of that 54-51.
Everybody
Monday
wanted
Night
Rams
Football
Chiefs.
game,
Everybody
right?
wanted Rams
Yes,
Chiefs.
of course.
Yeah.
And so
The Chiefs not winning that AFC Championship game was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That's what everybody wanted. And we
That was
all
the year,
knew.
that was the year Brady got slapped on the shoulder pad and they called roughing the passer. As in, we're talking about the Chiefs getting all the calls, buddy. Okay. And then D Ford was offsides on the pick, and it was awful, man. Hurt. That hurt.
D Ford, another former Chief who I hated, but that AFC Championship game was interesting. I was thinking about that game when we were watching Bills Chiefs last week, and I'm watching Josh Allen, and there's still 10 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter at least, and it's still a game, and you can see Allen is so spiritually defeated. You're looking at his face, and he's wearing his emotions on his sleeve, and he's just so defeated. And all of the Chiefs were not breaking a sweat at all because they've been there so much, and they know how to win, and they have so much confidence in their ability to pull out a close win. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, Bills are going to choke this away. It's not a supremely well coached team. These are not guys who believe in themselves. Their quarterback does not believe in himself or his team. And I was reminded of that Patriots-Chiefs championship game where, the big difference was just that Brady had been there 100 times. And it was just another game to him. Yeah. And so I was watching all of the Chiefs, but especially Mahomes in that championship game this year, and I'm like, it's not that big a deal. They are in this. No. They're in this game every single year. And that's their greatest advantage is that they have that mental edge in that game because they're always there.
It's this is our floor, man. We're chilling right now. And
I have to.
Their confidence. So the Chiefs. So you could tell that Allen had a level of urgency on his face, right? The Chiefs' confidence turns urgency into easy execution. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs had that. When you are urgent and you are fighting against a Goliath that you've had to stare in the face every year, and you're like, man, they can just go back there whenever they want. We need to go there. Their urgency turned into panic and led to a lack of execution. It just did. It did. And Spags setting up everything for that 4th and 5 moment should just tell you how much on a different level the Chiefs are, unfortunately, than the rest of the AFC is right now.
Well, the other thing is
it's just you, as you said, Allen's level of urgency and panic is a thing you just don't want to see. You want to see the guy who's like, man, we're just playing ball right now. There's nothing else. We're just playing ball. And Allen's face looked like, man, we have to do this now. We have to do this now. That is the face of a guy who's like, man, I just hope I get to one Super Bowl. Rather than the guy who's like, man, this is our floor. We're chilling. We'll get to the Super Bowl. It's not a problem. And that's what's unfortunately different. And it's not just Mahomes, as you said. It's everybody. It's George Karlaftis. It's Trent McDuffie. Right? It's Xavier Worthy somehow, who's catching balls in contested spots, who I didn't expect to do. Some of the rookies are doing it. It's Tooney sliding over from left guard to left tackle. I need to do this. I'm going to do this. And he's been in 5 Super Bowls in 9 years, by the way. The dude just is around excellence. But they all have that. Kelsey had to find a vintage version of himself in the division round. He said, okay, yeah, I'll do that. No problem. I got you. Not a problem. And that's how they are. They are not a problem. That's it.
having a belief that you're going to find a way is such an ace up your sleeve. It's so crucial. Drew put a comment in here. He said the Bills' defense is not very good, and I pinned it. And then he followed up by saying, "Oh, JJ about to tear into me for saying that." No. I have been crapping on
Baltimore, man.
I've been crapping on the Bills' defense for a few years now. But I just got on X and I just searched for my own Twitter handle and the word Bills because I wanted to see.
You gotta love that
because I have been crapping on the Bills for a while, and nobody likes to root against the Bills. Any of my Bills
was that the New England game, December 8th, or was that?
I don't remember. My Bills tweets never get any likes because people love the Bills so much. Tool says, but they have DeMar Hamlin. How can they not be very good? Here's the thing with DeMar Hamlin: like they're going to have to keep that guy on the roster until the day he retires. Like they can't cut him no matter how he plays.
They just got to get him into scouting early. That's what they need to do. He doesn't have to leave the building. He's just moving into a different office.
The Bills choke so hard in all the biggest moments, in all the biggest games.
They're lucky that Baltimore shot themselves in the foot a bunch in the divisional round. Otherwise, they would have been playing against the Chiefs. Like as you said, the defense. The Ravens up and down the field, man. If not for turnovers and drops, man, they could have dropped 40, no problem. They would have had no issue. But the Ravens get in their own way. They got to figure that out. They get in their own way.
Well, and the interesting thing is, it wasn't even like Lamar choking this year. No. Lamar.
Everybody wanted to, the interception. Oh no, Lamar's playoff Lamar. Miscommunications happen, people. That happens all the time. How many times did Rodgers throw a pick because of a miscommunication? Like that happens. I ain't worried about that one as much.
I mean, I don't really want to talk about playoff Rodgers that much either. But
no, I that's fair.
Oh my goodness!
It's
what time is it?
It's
it's that time.
What time? Ed Policy?
It's Ed Policy time. Oh man. You want to make your last point here and then we can assume position.
I'm out of here. I'm rooting for the Chiefs. I'm picking the Eagles. I'm picking the Eagles this week. On Sunday. I think they're gonna win.
I think I'm picking the Eagles too, only because that's what the math says, but heart definitely says Chiefs.
Yeah. The math
heart
says
and
Eagles. Math says Eagles. Gut says Chiefs for sure.
But my gut definitely says Chiefs, and the math says Eagles. So I'll probably say Eagles. Drew says, "Have a good night, guys." Drew says, "I'm going with the refs. Chiefs win."
There you go.
Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep.
Appreciate you. Listen, in the words of the late great Mr. Ed Policy, go Pack, go.